The next one is conformity bias, and this one is fairly self-explanatory. We are social critters. We like to think we're proud individualists, and the influence of others on us is much stronger on us than we'd ever care to acknowledge. And so, it's in our hormonal response. We still, when we see disapproval of others, cortisol is immediately, injected into our system. And, our threat detection apparatus is blunt. It makes no distinction between, tiger and, Bob didn't like what I just said.
It's so true. Our biggest fear, Nietzsche said, our biggest fear is solitude, is being excluded.
Yeah. And I like to think that I'm pretty independent. And all of us very, somewhat in this. But even the most, fierce independent among us is still part of this. I mean, we are social critters. And the need for agreement prematurely has kept so many great innovations from happening. And you need to be very conscious about when agreement needs to happen and when agreement just isn't the right consideration. And in some of this discussion around it, when I've talked with others, they've asked me about, well, what about dissent early on? And I said, don't even think about dissent early on. Dissent or agreement that's entirely the wrong frame for this. In the sport of javelin throwing, we don't award points for courtesy. I mean, it's just not a thing, right? We're not interested in dissent or agreement early on. We're looking for more ideas, right? And so being aware of that and not trying to, as a leader in an organization, really making it clear that you're not looking, to put your stamp on things prematurely. You're not looking to sway where things are going prematurely. As a follower, not being overly beholden to what you think the leader, wants to throw into the mix prematurely, but really having this openness. And, it's back to the Linus Pauling quote, the best way to get good ideas is first to get lots of ideas.
Yeah.
If there's too much concern about agreement and everyone towing the party line early on, your breadth of ideas is going to be, about 3 inches wide.
Yeah, that would be our academic institutions. A lot of them are liberal arts institutions.
And you don't want that. You don't want 3 inches wide. You want several yards wide. And that's really where you need to go.
One of the things, I think Maria Callas, the great diva, the opera diva, she said something to the effect of, art disturbs. Art is domination. In other words, this is how it goes. I'm going to disturb the notion of what you think is acceptable or what you think is art or whatever it is, and I'm going to try to shake you up. And that's because it's original, because I'm doing something you haven't seen before, and you might go into confirmation bias, or you might go into negativity bias, or whatever you do. That's when you're probably doing your job. When there's a certain section of the population that goes, I don't approve. This is no good. I don't like this. Well, look at what rock and roll did. Look at what Elvis did with his hips, and look at what all the great blues, the black blues musicians did, even jazz musicians. It was always suspect. It was always like, hey, you guys smoke reefer, and what's with that horn you're playing? These slick, shady black guys with their, this is what happened. But thank God.
Well, this is where you can choose, though, in your response. There are two words they're so similar, but they're actual opposites. And we talked a lot about reflexive responses, and what we want more from people, from any stimulus, is reflective responses, and to actually reflect on anything you're seeing. So if there is a provocative art, great. Maybe, you almost maybe can't help but feel the shock. But then what's your next move? Is it just to be reflexive and then just kind of lash out at it? Or is it to be reflective and go, wow, why did I just have that response? Or what could this open up for me if I now take a moment with it and see where that could go?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. What can this open up in me? Because you need that more than ever as you get older. See, when you're younger, you like counterculture. When you're younger, you like it being shaken up. And somehow as we get older and we have more to lose and stuff, we look at that stuff with a real, like I have a natural negative reaction to Kanye West. I don't like the way he wears his hair, and I don't like the way he talks. Well, I went and listened to that dude, and I really spent 2 days listening to everything Kanye West has ever done, and also kind of reading about the good, fair critique on him, and then I listened to some interviews. Guy's got something to say. It opened up in me. I went, that guy never stops innovating. Now sometimes it falls flat, but that guy never stops innovating, and he never stops taken on that challenge. Whether or not the music resonates with me is a different story. But the point is that I have to fight that all the time. As I get older, I'm like, no, I know what I like, and I have a criteria for good art, and I'm afraid you don't make it, sir. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ignore you for the rest of your life. No, what you have to do is kind of, if it bothers me, something's probably going on there. I should probably look into it. Some of it's shit. I don't have to like the Kardashians, but But
I think that's fair.
Yeah.